Hi everyone, Sheena Hansen here with another frequently asked question. And today I'm going to answer, what is a fiduciary? You might have heard that term, whether you're reading a financial article or you've turned on the TV and you might see a commercial for a financial advisor. And it's used a lot in marketing. It's touted as being something that you need to look for when you're interviewing financial advisors. But what is it actually? I think one common misconception is that a fiduciary is a great financial advisor, and there's more to the story than that. So fiduciary is, by definition, someone who is legally and ethically required to put your own interests ahead of their own. And this differs from another standard in our industry, which is the suitability standard. So I've got a little chart here that explains side by side the difference between an advisor who is operating as a fiduciary advisor and someone who is operating under a suitability standard or suitability advisor. So the advice given by a fiduciary advisor is someone who they have to offer advice and services and products that are only in your best interest and not their own. Where the suitability advisor, they need to assess your situation, ask you information about your financial life, and they only need to give you advice and sell products potentially that are suitable given your situation. There could be conflicts involved. They could be offering something that is maybe in their own best interest and not your own. The regulatory oversight is different. Fiduciary advisors are overseen by the SEC or potentially individual states, where FINRA compliance is the body that oversees suitability advisors. Fees, there is a difference in fee structure. Fiduciary advisors are typically, they need to disclose with full transparency what their fees are, and they're typically paid directly by the client, where suitability advisors, they oftentimes earn commissions, and there are less disclosure requirements. And, again, it kind of comes back to best interest. There's this best interest standard where there's the highest obligation for fiduciary advisors to operate in a client best interest. And for suitability advisors, there's just simply lower obligations from a legal standpoint. So why this really matters is that if you are someone who's with a fiduciary advisor and you feel like you were actually harmed by some of the advice that they have given you, then there are legal channels that you can pursue to try to recoup what you potentially lost. And so it really comes back to the best interest standards, the fact that that advisor needs to act in your best interest. But, a good fit with a financial advisor is certainly more than just that fiduciary standard. You need to find someone that you trust, someone that you understand, someone that you can communicate well with. There certainly are fiduciary advisors that they don't act like fiduciaries at all times, even though they are held to that standard. And there's, people who are suitability advisors, people who are not under that fiduciary umbrella, but they hold themselves to that fiduciary standard. So it's not the be all end all when you're with a financial advisor, but it does set the bar higher. It does offer some protection to you as a consumer from a legal standpoint. But again, you want to really find that good connection, that good fit, someone who's competent and that you feel really good about. If you have any questions about fiduciary and how we operate, let me know. And on Common Sense Investing, we are fiduciary advisors. And so hopefully that clarifies what that term actually means. Thanks, and tune in again.